everybody, this is Emily from Life Enrichment, and I am here today to do another Broadway class with you all. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoy. Today's Broadway musical is going to be The Phantom of the Opera. So hopefully some of you had the chance to see the version that we showed this past Saturday. It was the 25th anniversary, and we're going to see a couple clips of it in my presentation as well. The picture that you see here is actually from that cast. That's Sierra Bojas as Christine and Ramin Karimloo as the Phantom. All right, so let's get started. The Phantom of the Opera. So I'm sure many of you know the music from the Phantom of the Opera is from the legend himself, Mr. Andrew Lloyd Webber, or Sir Andrew Lloyd Webber. The lyrics were by Charles Hart, and the book was written by Andrew Lloyd Webber as well as Richard Stilgoe. Something that I didn't really know much about was that it was based on the French novel by Gaston Leroux. I'd known it was a book at some point, but I didn't know the author's name until I started putting this presentation together, but that's an interesting factoid. The original production of The Phantom of the Opera was at the West End in London in 1986. So in case you didn't know, Andrew Lloyd Webber, he is an English composer. So that's where the musical originally opened, and it premiered on Broadway in 1988 at the Majestic Theater, and it is still there today. The film version was released in 2004. It starred Emmy Rossum, who some of you may know from the television show Shameless with William H. Macy, and it also starred Gerard Butler, the famous movie actor. It is widely regarded, and it is best known for being the longest running Broadway show of all time, as well as the second longest running West End musical. The first longest running West End musical is actually Les Miserables. On Broadway, it has 13,370 performances to date. So obviously, this number hasn't been going up recently, but as of March of 2020, which is when Broadway decided to shut down for a short time, that's how many performances it's had on Broadway. So highly successful, and as we can see here at the bottom bullet, it has been produced in over 28 countries on 6 continents. So that is definitely a widely produced film, greatly loved and very beloved. So let's get into the plot now. All right, Phantom of the Opera, the plot. Let's start with Act 1. So the musical takes place in the year 1988 at the Paris Opera House. We see an opera troupe. They're rehearsing for their sold-out performance of a musical called Hannibal. But there's a lot of suspicious behavior going on. A lot of things in the theater are falling, and there's the main actress in their musical. They call it their prima donna. Her name is Carlotta, and she quits at the beginning of the musical. She says that she doesn't want to. This stuff has been going on for years now. She's frightened and she doesn't want to be there anymore. So she decides to quit, and she says that the cause of it all is the Phantom. That he's the one that's been causing all the suspicious things that have been going on. The ballet teacher there, her name is Madame Geary, and she suggests to the two owners of the opera house, their names are Thierman and Andre, she suggests that they audition a woman named Christine. She's young, she's very talented, and she knows that she's been very well trained. Christine is an orphan. Her father was a famous violinist. And she knows that she's very well trained, so she gets them to audition her. And when she does her audition song, this young man named Raoul notices her quickly, and he recognizes that it's an old childhood friend of his, and he's a nobleman at this point, so he has a lot of influence and a lot of power over the events that occur at the opera house. So After she gets the role, she's very, very, very talented. She gets the role, and after her triumphant debut as the lead role in Hannibal, she goes to her dressing room and she talks to her friend, and then Raoul comes and visits her, and she confesses to them both that she was taught how to sing well from the angel of music, who's this mysterious figure that's been appearing to her. She says that he's been haunting her dreams, and she thinks that he resembles a character from stories that her father once told her and Raoul. So Raoul is kind of skeptical about those events, but he just wants to support her, and he decides that he's going to ask her out on a date. So he asks her to dinner, and he leaves. He leaves to go get his hat so they can go out to dinner. And the Phantom is actually nearby, and he overhears their conversation, and he appears to Christine, starts talking to her, and gets her to follow him down to his lair, which is underneath the opera house. So they go underneath the opera house, and then they have to take this boat through this subterranean lake, and he leads her to his lair. Christine faints because she's frightened, she's shocked, she doesn't really know what's going on. And when she awakes, she finds the Phantom, and she decides to lift his mask. She reveals his grotesque face. It's deformed, and she starts to run in fear until he starts to express that he really just wants to be loved. He's looked like this his whole life, and he's seeking out some empathy, some sympathy from her. So she feels some pity for him. So she returns the mask, and in exchange, he brings her back to the opera house, and that's about halfway through Act 1. So I'm going to show you a couple clips here. This first one is a song called "Think of Me," and this is the song that Christine auditions with when she gets the lead role in their opera. Oh, hold on.
Think of me fondly when we've said goodbye. Remember me every so often. Promise me you'll try.
Andre, this is doing nothing for my nerves.
Don't fret, Fiona.
On that day, that not so distant day, when you were far away and free, if you ever find a moment, spare a thought for me. And though it's clear, though it was always clear that this was never meant to be, if you happen to remember, stop and think of me. Because I know what is real. Don't think about the way things might have been. Think of me waking silent and resigned. Imagine me trying too hard to put you from my mind. Think of me, please say you'll think of me. Whatever else you choose to do, there will never be a day when I won't think of you.
not remember me, but I remember.
Flowers fade, the fruits of summer fade. They have their seasons, so do we. But please promise me that sometimes you will
She is just phenomenal. Sierra Burgess is a very, very well-respected actress in modern Broadway. She also originated the role of Ariel in The Little Mermaid on Broadway. She's very talented. She's been in quite a number of Broadway shows. And Andrew Lloyd Webber actually considers her the best Christine that's ever been. He considers her the absolute best. And honestly, I don't really blame him. I think she's really fantastic. We're going to see a little bit more of her throughout this, just because most of the footage that's out there is from the 25th anniversary production, and it's a very good cast. The next song I'll show you is the Phantom of the Opera, the title song, and this is the Phantom and Christine singing together when he brings her to his lair.
Those who have seen your face draw back in fear. I am the master.
It's me they hear.
Your spirit and my voice in one combine. Both hands on the operatic stand inside my mind.
again, that was the 25th anniversary cast, but that was actually a production they did at the Brit Awards in 2012. Again, that's Sierra Bogus and Ramin Karimloo. He's another very well-respected Broadway actor. I actually was fortunate to have gotten to see him when he was in Les Miserables as Jean Valjean a couple years ago. It was very good. So we're going to move on with Act 1 now. A considerable amount of time later, we see the character Joseph Bouquet. He's a stagehand at the theater, and he's telling stories of the Phantom and his magical lasso. He's telling this story to the chorus girls that work there at the Opera House, until Madame Geary hears him, and she warns him that he should stay silent or face the Phantom's wrath, that he's a very vengeful person, and he doesn't like, to hear that people are, talking about him. Shortly after that, we see the character of Raoul again. He has received a note warning him not to see Christine again, and he assumes that it's from the owners of the theater, Fermin and Andre. So he goes to confront them about it, and he learns at the same time that Carlotta has also received a note saying that her days at the opera are numbered. Carlotta again was the former prima donna that had the lead role in the opera before Christine had taken that role. The owners receive a note as well that instruct them to replace Carlotta with Christine in the new opera Il Muto, and also he wants them to reserve a box seat for him to come see the performance, or else they will face disaster beyond imagination. They dismiss all these warnings, and they place Carlotta in the lead role while placing Christine in the role of a mute. So she doesn't have any lines in the musical. The musical seems to be going well, Il Muto, until we hear the voice of the Phantom, and he expresses that he's angry that they didn't leave the box seat open for him. So after that, we hear Christine. She recognizes that he's near, and she whispers, kind of just to herself. It almost seems unwilling. She whispers that he's near, and when Carlotta hears her, she tells her to remain silent, because again, her role in the musical is silent, and she calls her a little toad. And when the Phantom hears that, he retaliates by turning her voice into a frog-like croak. So when Carlotta goes to speak or sing, her voice comes out in a croak. So when that happens, Fermin, he's panicking that this stuff is going on. So he announces that Christine is going to take over the starring role. And after he makes that decision, we see Joseph Bouquet, the aforementioned stagehand, his body drops from the ceiling, and he's been hung by the lasso that he was talking about, the magical lasso that the Phantom possesses. So, a lot of chaos ensues both in the audience and amongst the cast. So while all this is going on, Christine has Raoul follow her to the roof. She walks all the way up the stairs, up into the roof of the opera house, and she tells him about the Phantom and the lair that she had been to with him. And, he believes her, and he vows that he's going to protect her and love her, and she makes the same vow to him, because, they're frightened about all the events that have transpired so far. So they make that vow to each other, but what they don't know is that the Phantom is overhearing, and he vows revenge on them because he loves Christine. He doesn't want her with Raoul. He's taught her, how to be a good singer, and he thinks that she owes him her love. So after he vows his revenge, the big ending to Act 1 is he crashes the chandelier, the very gorgeous centerpiece of the theater, onto the stage, making a big scene, and that's how Act 1 ends. So the next couple clips I'm going to show you are, the first one I'm going to show you is from the movie, the 2004 film with Emmy Rossum, and Patrick Wilson. He's more known for, he's done quite an amount of scary movie roles. Again, he's a movie actor as well. And this is them in the movie, she and Raoul. Why have you followed me here? Or why have you brought me here, I'm sorry. And that's the first clip I'm going to show you.
Why have you brought me here?
Can't go back there.
You must return.
Kill you. His eyes will find us there.
Christine, don't say that.
Those eyes that burn.
Don't even think it.
He has to kill 1,000 men.
Forget this waking nightmare.
The phantom of
This
the
phantom
opera.
is unkillable.
And
Believe me,
kill
there
again.
is no phantom of the opera.
My God, who is
My God, who is this
who hunts
man?
to kill?
This mask of death.
I can't escape
Whose
from
is
him.
this voice you hear?
Never
With
will.
every breath and in this labyrinth, where night is blind, the phantom of the opera is there. Inside my mind, there is no phantom of the opera.
I've been there to his world of unending night, to a world where the daylight dissolves into darkness, darkness. I sing to him. Can I ever forget that sight? Can I ever escape from that face so distorted, deformed? It was hardly a face in that darkness, darkness. What his voice filled my spirit with a strange, sweet sound. In that night there was music in my mind, and from music my soul began to soar. And I heard as I never
What you heard was a dream and nothing more.
Yet in his eyes all the sadness of the world, those pleading eyes that both threaten and adore.
Slowly, gently, night unfurled.
Sorry about that. So again, that's the scene where Christine brings Raoul up to the roof and she tells him, everything she's seen. And we start to hear a little bit in that song Christine's attraction to him. She's very drawn to the Phantom. She's drawn to his voice. She's drawn to the pain that she sees in his eyes. And she can't quite explain why she's so drawn to him, but it kind of frightens her, and it makes it hard for her to, just abandon him and everything that he's taught her. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so this next clip I'm going to show you is All I Ask of You. It's the final, the real final big number from Act 1, and this is the vow that Christine and Raoul made to each other. They vow to, love and protect each other, and the Phantom overhears this song. This clip that you're going to see is a version that they did at the Royal Albert Hall, and it's actually the original Broadway actors. So we have Sarah Brightman as Christine and Michael Crawford as the Phantom.
wide-eyed fears. I'm here, nothing can harm you. My words will warm and calm you. Let me your tears. I'm here with you, beside you, to guard you and to guide you. Let me be your light. You're safe, no one will find you. Your fears are far behind you.
All I want is freedom, a world with no more light, and you always beside me, to hold me and to fight me.
Then say you'll share with me one love, one lifetime. Let me lead you from your solitude. Say you need me with you here beside you. Anywhere you go, let me go too. Christine, that's all I ask of you.
So I apologize. When I started that clip, I said that it was Michael Crawford playing the Phantom, but what I actually meant to say was Michael Crawford as Raoul. So again, that was Raoul and Christine, the original Broadway Raoul and Christine, and that's the final number of Act 1. So now we're going to get into Act 2. Hello? Okay. Alright, so Act 2 starts 6 months later, and there's a big masquerade ball at the Opera House. The Phantom appears while they're celebrating the masquerade, and he announces that he's written a new musical called Don Juan Triumphant, and he wants Christine to play the star role. He approaches Christine, and he sees that she has an engagement ring around her neck, which he snatches before disappearing. Raoul demands from Madame Geary that she share the Phantom story since she's been around the opera house a long time. And she confesses to him that the Phantom is actually a brilliant scholar, a magician, an inventor, an architect, and a composer. And because of his disfigurement, he's been ostracized from society his whole life, and he was even displayed in a cage at one point, almost as part of a circus act, before he escaped to live below ground, below the opera house, where he's lived for quite a few years now. Now, Raoul plots to use the opera's premiere, this opera that he's written, Don Juan Triumphant, as a way to trap the Phantom. But Christine refuses to participate. You know, she still has some empathy, some sympathy, and probably a lot of pity for the Phantom. So she doesn't want to go along with that idea. But again, she will still star in the musical. While they're doing rehearsals, we see the male lead. His name's Piangi, which is a term that's used in opera as a kind of a stock character. He's struggling with his role. He can't really get his lines right or the notes right. But then suddenly the piano becomes possessed. It starts playing on its own, and after it starts to play, the chorus just magically starts singing together in perfect unison. Again, it's pretty much magic that we see this happen, and we know as audience members that it's because of the Phantom. We then see Christine. And she's feeling torn about her feelings. She loves Raoul, and she doesn't doubt that relationship at all, but she doesn't understand why she's so drawn to the Phantom. She doesn't know what she should do, but he's taught her a lot. He's made her the artist that she is, and she's really just looking for some guidance right now. So she goes to her father's grave, and she sings a song there called "Wishing You Were Somehow Here Again." And she's, expressing her desire for some guidance to figure out what she should do. After we see her sing this song, the Phantom appears atop the mausoleum there at the cemetery, and he starts drawing Christine in. He claims himself as the angel of music, and that's her weakness for him. She starts to kind of succumb under his spell, really, until Raoul arrives. When Raoul arrives, the Phantom kind of taunts him and starts to throw fireballs at him. So Raoul and Christine, they escape together, and the Phantom, he pledges war against them both, and he causes the mausoleum to burst into flames. Quite a big scene. So I'm going to show you some more clips now. This clip I'm going to show you first is from the 2004 film, and this is the masquerade scene. I really like the movie version of it. The costumes are just beautiful, and just the scope that you can get with a movie that you can't get with a live performance is really well orchestrated. Sorry about that. That was quite loud. Let me turn that down a little. Okay. Here we go.
So silent, good monsieur. Did you think that I had left you for good? Have you missed me, good messieurs? I have written you an opera. Here I bring the finished score. Don Juan triumphant. Fondest greetings to you all. A few instructions just before rehearsal starts. Carlotta must be taught to act, not a normal trick of strutting around the stage. Our Don Juan must lose some weight. It's not healthy in a man of Piangi's age. And my managers must learn that their place is in an office, not the arts. As for our star, Miss Christine Daae, no doubt she'll do her best. It's true, her voice is good. She knows, though, should she wish to excel, she has much still to learn. If pride will let her return to me, her teacher, her teacher. Your chains are the mine, you belong to me.
Alright, so we see there he's written his new musical. He wants Christine to be the star, but he kind of questions Piangi's ability to play the Don Juan, the lead male role. And you know, he claims ownership over her after he sees that ring around her neck. We're gonna skip this other clip here because it's kind of long and it's not actually a professional performance, it's a high school performance, so I'm just gonna skip that one. Oh, where are we going? All right, so continuing with Act 2, we are brought to the Don Juan triumphant premiere, the premiere of the musical that the Phantom has written, and Raoul has set it up so that armed policemen have secured the auditorium. Again, he wants to use this as a way to trap the Phantom. During her performance, Christine starts to realize that somehow the Phantom has replaced Piangi within the musical. At some point, he replaced him in the role. During the musical, he mimics Raoul's vow to her that he made to her that we saw during Act 1, and he forces a ring of his own onto her finger. After he does this, she rips off his mask, which exposes him to the audience, and he retaliates by taking her to his lair. After he takes her away, we see that Piangi has been hanged as well, which causes, again, a lot of chaos and an angry mob to form within the opera house. They're seeking revenge against the Phantom for all he's done. We go to the Phantom's lair, and there we see Christine. She's wearing a wedding dress. The Phantom has commanded her to do so. And she expresses to him that her fear is not because of the way he looks, but rather his inner nature, the way he acts, the evil things that he's done. Raoul makes his way to the lair, and he begs the Phantom to release her, but instead the Phantom lassos him as well. And he decides to give Christine an ultimatum. He tells her that he'll spare Raoul's life if she agrees to stay with him. But if she will not agree to stay with him, then he will kill Raoul. So she, you know, when he says this to her, she kind of takes it as a moment of reflection. And she asks the Phantom what his life has been. She recognizes all the sadness and pain that he must have experienced in order to act this way. And she tells him that he's not alone, and she kisses him. This is the first time that anyone has shown kindness to him before. Again, he's been ostracized his whole life just for the way he looks. And because she treats him so kindly, he shows compassion for the first time, and he decides to release them both. So Raoul and Christine, they go to make their way out of the lair, but Christine rushes back and she gives him the ring that he had given her, and he pledges his love to her once again. And she exits. She leaves with Raoul. After we see them leave, we see that the mob appears, and they go into the lair trying to find the Phantom, but they only find his cloak and his mask, and they lift up the mask into the light, and there's no Phantom. He has disappeared into the night. And that is how the musical ends. So let's show a couple clips here. The first one I'm going to show you is The Point of No Return, and this is the song that Christine and the Phantom sing during Don Juan Triumphant, when she first realizes that he is not Piangi, that he is in fact the Phantom.
You have come here in pursuit of your deepest hurt, in pursuit of that wish which till now has been silent, silent. I have brought you that our passions may fuse and merge. In your mind you've already succumbed to me, dropped on defenses, completely succumbed to me. Now you are here with me, no second thoughts, you've decided. Past the point of no return, no backward glances or games of make-believe are at an end. Oh, thought of if or when, no use resisting, abandon thought and let the dream descend. What raging fire shall flood the soul? What rich desire unlocks its door? What sweet seduction lies before us? Past the point of no return, the final threshold. What warm unspoken secrets will we learn beyond the point of no
that's the point of no return. Again, that's from the 2004 film. And then the last clip I'm going to show you now is it's a reprise of Music of the Night. And this is actually from the 25th anniversary edition, but it is Ramin Karimloo, who we mentioned before, singing the role of the Phantom, as well as several other well-known actors that have portrayed the Phantom in the past. They all appeared at this special performance and sang along with him. It's a relatively short clip, but it gives you a good idea of the different vocal ranges from the different actors that have portrayed the Phantom.
Floating, falling, sweet intoxication. Touch me, trust me, savory sensation. Let your dream begin, let your darker side give in to the power of the music that I write. The power of the music of the
Again, this is a short little clip from their performance. It was the longest one I could find, unfortunately, but it's still pretty good nonetheless. Alright, so that was the Phantom of the Opera, and now we'll get to my favorite part of the presentation, which is awards and acclaims, part I really like to talk about. Okay, so first we're going to talk about the original London production. Give me 1 second, I can make this a little bit bigger. So the original London production received Laurence Olivier Awards. They received an award for Best New Musical and Best Lead Actor. It also received an Evening Standard Award for Best Musical. An Evening Standard is a newspaper there. It would be like the equivalent of a Drama Desk Award here in the US. The original Broadway production earned a lot of different awards. First, it received Tony Awards for Best Musical, Best Lead Actor, Best Featured Actress, Best Direction, and Best Scenic, as well as Costume and Lighting Design. We also had Tony nominations for Best Book, Best Original Score, and Best Choreography. For Drama Desk Awards, they received awards for Outstanding Actor, Outstanding Director, Outstanding Music, Orchestrations, and again, Set, Costume, and Lighting Design. It also received Drama Desk nominations for Outstanding Musical and Outstanding Actress. I believe that year the Outstanding Musical went to Into the Woods. As for Outer Critics Circle Awards, it received a couple of those as well. It won Best Broadway Musical, Best Actor, Best Set, Best Costume, and Best Lighting Design. So really, I would say the biggest claims that it has is its awards that it's won for design, which is honestly such a big accomplishment, really, because there are a lot of different, there are a lot of very successful artists out there that have designed different shows, and to get that many awards for it really speaks to the brilliance of Maria Bjornson, especially, who's was the costume and I believe scenic designer as well. For acclaims for this musical, the original Broadway cast album is actually certified 4 times platinum in the US. It's sold, I believe, about 5 million copies in the US, so it's quite a successful album. As for reviews, we have a couple different here that I was able to find. Again, these are reviews of the original Broadway production. So the New York Daily News said, "It is a spectacular entertainment, visually the most impressive of the British musicals. There are some droll opera parodies, several beautiful songs, an impressive septet, and a grand choral number, all richly orchestrated." So that's a really good review of the music itself, I'd say. The magazine Variety said, it was a thrilling and musically rich mass legit entertainment, a 19th century period spectacle with soaring melodies and exceptional singing. that are at the service of an offbeat love story, all of it staged with brilliantly organized flair by Harold Prince. Harold Prince, if you don't know, is one of the best known and most successful Broadway directors to date. He's worked quite a lot with Sondheim, a couple things with Andrew Lloyd Webber. He's very, very well known, very successful. He's passed away now, but he was one of the best Broadway directors of all time. So it's great that they had such a successful director there, putting that all together. And then we have the New York Times, which says that the musical showers the audience with fantasy and fun at any price. They called it a characteristic Lloyd Webber project that the director Harold Prince, the designer Maria Bjornson, and the mesmerizing actor Michael Crawford have elevated quite literally to the roof. So not only is that a good compliment to Harold Prince like we saw before, but also credits Maria Bjornson and the actor Michael Crawford for their work as well. Again, I really love the work of Maria Bjornson. Her designs have been used in pretty much all of the different productions around the world, with the exception of less than a handful of productions. For the most part, all the touring productions, the London production, the Broadway production, the ones that have been performed all over the world, for the most part, people use her designs because they're just so brilliant and they really express the time period. The richness of the music really is elevated with those beautiful costumes. She's just a very gifted artist. So that is Phantom of the Opera. That is all I have for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed presenting it. I'm not sure yet what my next musical will be. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. Even if you want to email Cece, that's SperryCecilia@WindsorCelebration.com. You can email her, you can call her, leave her a voicemail. Any suggestions you have, I would greatly appreciate. But for now, I will leave you with this. So thank you very much for watching and have a good day.